Penn State versus Iowa is the premier dual meet of the year. But will the number 2 Hawkeyes be able to overcome the number 1 Nittany Lions? Will Spencer Lee bump up to wrestle RBY? And can anyone actually score bonus points? I'll be answering those questions about the historic dual meet, which features 19 ranked wrestlers, 10 All-Americans, and 5 NCAA champions. This is the first time in 5 years that the dual meet is being held in State College. Penn State won last year, but Iowa earned a victory in 2020. But the most exciting part about all of this is that only 3 of these matches have happened in the past, meaning we're going to get a lot of new and exciting matches. And 125 is not one of those matches, but it will probably be some excitement for the Iowa Hawkeyes between Spencer Lee and Gary Steen. Now, nothing against Gary Steen, but he is going up against a bull in Spencer Lee. Steen is the only unranked guy in this dual meet right now, even though he did have a solid win last weekend against Tristan Lujan of Michigan State, and he may end up bumping into the rankings. But you're going up against Spencer Lee, a 3-time national champion, going for his 4th title this year, who is on an absolute tear this season and not letting anybody get in his way. He is so darn scary. 6 straight pins in a row, a couple of them in the first period, and not just against guys who aren't that good, against guys who are number 3 and number 4 in the country at the weight. He is insane right now, and I think Spencer Lee is going to start out with another pin for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And to be honest with you, so there are 3 things that are going to be happening in this dual meet that I have to let you know about. One of them is an upset. One of them is a match that you got to watch out for. And the third one is an absolute lock. And the lock here is at 125 pounds because there ain't no way Spencer Lee is dropping this match. That leads us to 133 between some things going on here, Shriver, Teske, or Roman Bravo Young. So Roman Bravo Young, will start out with him. He's the number 1 ranked guy in the country, multiple-time national champion, and has been wrestling a great season. He showed a little bit of chink in the armor last weekend against Michigan with Ragusin letting up a takedown. I believe that was his first takedown let up in the dual meet, at least this season so far, if not even more so than that. But he has 45 straight wins, and he's following a lot in Spencer Lee's footsteps with getting bonus. And that could continue here, but who is he going to be wrestling against, Shriver or Teske? Well, Shriver, the last time he's wrestled was early in January. He had 3 straight losses, which is likely why the coaches made that change and ended up taking him out of the lineup, switching it with Brody Teske, who transferred in from Northern Iowa last year and is number 12 ranked in the country. He had a solid win last week against Taylor Lamont, who is wrestling at Wisconsin, and he's an All-American. So Teske is definitely a guy who's looking to make the stand, but is he able to compete against a guy like Roman Bravo Young? No, I don't think so. Is he going to be able to hold up bonus points here? Again, no, I don't think so. Roman Bravo Young is similar to Spencer Lee in that sense, which I'm giving RBY 4 points, a major decision. He's going to score it and get Penn State kicked off on the right note. Now, the one thing you may be wondering about, what's going to happen? RBY and Spencer Lee. Is it going to happen? Are we going to see that matchup? Because the thing here is, if Spencer Lee bumps up, let's say that happens, and let's just say, for the sake of argument, that he beats Roman Bravo Young. Now, I'm not saying that will or won't happen, but if he beats him, that changes the entire matchup at the beginning like crazy. Because right now, Iowa's up 6-4. Let's say that Spencer Lee bumps up and beats RBY by a decision. He beats him 3-0, and Drake Iola ends up coming in at 125, scores 3 to 4 points against Gary Steen, which is what the Iowa Hawkeyes would be hoping for. That would put Iowa up 7-0 instead of 6-4. Is there merit to this? Yes, in the fact that the Iowa Hawkeyes could go up on Penn State, but the reason I do not think this is going to happen is twofold. One, Spencer Lee is not going to risk injury. Yes, he is a man of the people. He loves exciting atmospheres, exciting environments. He lives for Penn State versus Iowa wrestling. Just Micah Parsons tweeted out something the other day about wanting to be a part of the dual meet, and Spencer Lee said, yeah, come on if you want to sit in the Iowa Hawkeyes section. He's a man of the people, but He's not going to risk getting injured against a guy like Roman Bravo Young, who you know they're going to get in some crazy scrambles. You know some crazy things are going to happen here. Why risk giving up all that weight to go up to 133? And the second reason I don't think it is, like, yeah, this is a huge dual meet for Iowa, but is it that big where they're going to risk Spencer Lee getting injured? No, I don't think so. I really don't think that is going to happen. But if you want to see Spencer Lee versus RBY, why don't you hit that subscribe button right now? Otherwise, you're going to get tilted up by Spencer Lee. Yeah. So hit that subscribe button right now. That moves us to 141 pounds. Bo Bartlett and Real Woods. This is a number 2 and number 3 ranked matchup. Pretty impressive that Bo Bartlett has climbed the ranks this much at 141. And I will say that he has looked absolutely impressive this season. Dropping from 49 to 141 was a phenomenal move for him. Now, these two are both undefeated, and really this will be Bo Bartlett's first actual test of the season. I think he's wrestled great matches. He is undefeated, but Real Woods is a guy who's been tested before, not just this season, but years past. He is a guy who is an All-American, who is looking for the top of the stand this year. And not saying Bo Bartlett isn't, because he definitely is as well. But I think Real Woods just has a slight edge over Bartlett right now. And because of that, I'm giving him the decision. But Bo Bartlett's going to push him. Now, what do I think that is that slight edge? The slight edge is just a bit more offense. Bo is very defensive. But I hope to see him pick up some offense here. At 149, Shane Van Ness and Max Murin. This is a freshman going up against a senior in Max Murin. Number 10 versus number 12. Now, Van Ness had a good win last week against Michigan and a pretty good season so far, but Murin is his first test. Murin is a guy who has stuck around for many, many years. And while he is a good wrestler, he has just not been able to get over that hump, to get onto the stand, onto the podium. Whereas you have Shane Van Ness, who just is coming in hot, like riding the wave right now. And with that, I actually think he's going to get the upset over Max Murin. I'm giving him 3 points here, putting Penn State right back in the match. It's 9-7 at this point in the favor of the Iowa. Now, the thing that I'll say here is going into 157, there's going to be some interesting things going on with Haines and Bartlett, which I'll get to in a second, but we got Siebrecht, who's number 14 in the country, and I'll be honest with you, Siebrecht hasn't done a ton to prove that ranking. Whereas Levi Haines, just last week, had a phenomenal win against Will Wan. Siebrecht hasn't really done a lot to get to that top 14 spot. He's a sophomore, a young guy. It's not like he's had past seasons under his belt to get there. And I'm not like hating on the guy or anything. I'm just saying he's going to have to prove it. He could do that by beating a number 12 Haines. Or Bartlett is also another possibility. So what's going on here? Well, Levi Haines is a true freshman. What that means is the new rule this season is that Haines, any true freshman, has 5 dates of eligibility that they can use without burning their red shirt. Haines has already used up all of those dates, which I'm a little bit surprised that Cale did that and didn't save this Iowa Hawkeyes date as the 5th date of competition. Nonetheless, it happened. And I think because Cale has already used those 5 dates on Haines, the reason he did that is because he wanted to get extra experience for Levi Haines. I think we're going to see Levi Haines in this duel, and I think that we're going to see him make an exciting debut. Not an upset or anything over Siebrecht, but a good win, and I think he's going to get the decision here. It's going to be a great match, 3-3. Now, yeah, I said there was an upset here with Van Ness over Murin, but the actual upset that I'm really looking forward to is coming up in just a bit. That moves us to 165. This is exciting for multiple reasons. You have Patrick Kennedy, number 11 in the country, and Alex Facundo, number 5. To be honest, there's a similar situation between Kennedy and Siebrecht in that Kennedy right now is getting by on the singlet alone. He doesn't have any massive wins out there that really gives merit to number 11, whereas Facundo has the win over Kim Amin last week. I mean, these guys, last weekend was incredible, beating these Michigan guys who are All-Americans, right? Kennedy now, he's tough, though. I mean, I'm not, like, he may have a little bit more of building up to do as far as looking at that number 11 ranking, but He's a tough wrestler, and he's going to bring the heat against Alex Facundo. We're going to see a high-flying, exciting match. Remember, this 165 pounds weight class is a weight where we've seen some excitement, some high-flying electricity sparks between Alex Marinelli and Vincenzo Joseph historically at this weight. And I think we're going to see that here. Not as crazy as the over-unders or any tosses, but I think we're going to see an exciting matchup. And I think that, I mean, they're redshirt freshmen, right? Anything can happen. I think because of that, Patrick Kennedy is going to end up getting a decision here. This is my real upset of the duel here. It's nothing crazy. Like, I wouldn't say like, wow, that was the most insane upset I've seen in all year, but it is an upset, and it will shift the tides of the duel going into 174. The scary part for Iowa is this is Penn State's murder's row. Starocci and Brands. Brands has struggled a bit this season. Number 17 ranked in the country, has a couple losses. Starocci, on the other hand, has been bonusing up a storm. He is a Hodge Trophy contender, as well as Spencer Lee and Roma Brava Young. I throw Starocci right up there with him, going for his third national title. Starocci is beating guys pretty bad, and I think that he's going to do the same to Nelson Brands. I originally thought maybe he'd get a major against Brands, but at this point, I actually think that Starocci, in his home environment, ramping up the BJC, get some excitement going, is going to end up getting a pin. He is going to hype up the crowd here and just ramp up, get so excited, because that is a pin, leading to 184 between Abe Assad and Aaron Brooks. This is number 10 Assad and number 1 Aaron Brooks. Now, listen, Assad just struggled last week. He got pinned by an unranked wrestler, and that hurts him going into this week. But it could give him some extra energy and motivation to want to come in and compete against Aaron Brooks. Because, like I said, where RBY showed a little chink in the armor this last weekend, Aaron Brooks showed a chink in the armor a couple weeks ago whenever he lost to Marcus Coleman of Iowa State. He does have that loss on his resume this year. So he's not unbeatable. And Assad could come in swinging, but he does have 2 losses to Aaron Brooks from the past, both decisions. Now, since the time they've wrestled, a lot has changed. Aaron Brooks has jumped levels. His bonus points have gone through the roof year after year and gone up year after year. And I think he's going to actually score bonus points on Abe Assad. And Assad has shown that he gets pinned. I mean, not often, but he can get pinned. And with the momentum from Starocci at 74, I think Aaron Brooks is actually going to get a back-to-back pin. Now, before you call me a Penn State homer, yeah, I know those comments are incoming. I want you to comment your dual meet prediction right now. Who do you think is going to win? Tell me why I'm wrong and why this isn't going to happen. Please, I'd love to know. That leads to 197 pounds. And while there were some high-flying matches here, don't expect this match to be the same. It's going to be a little bit boring between Jacob Warner, number 10 in the country, and Max Steen, number 2. These two have wrestled historically in the past. They've wrestled in the national finals before, and where Max Steen has won last year. Max Steen hit that great bow and arrow on Jacob Warner, ended up getting back points, ended up beating him out in the dual meet and helping Penn State win that dual meet. This year, well, first of all, okay, each of these guys has 2 losses on the year so far. 2 guys they probably shouldn't have lost to. They're not like bad losses or anything, but I think that they are the top guys at the weight. But these 2 guys wrestle so close. Like, they wrestle not that offensively, and they're pretty defensive wrestlers. They know when they can score. They get those points. They're winning like 3-2 matches, 3-1, whatever it may be. Jacob Warner, I will also say, is vastly underranked at number 10 in the country. He should be a top 5. He is a top 5 guy, regardless of what the rankings show. But what's going to happen here, I think Dean's going to continue to ride that momentum. No, he's not going to get a pin, okay? That's not going to happen. He will get a decision, however, and beat Jacob Warner. It'll probably be a sudden victory match, to be honest with you. Expected to go into maybe even double overtime. It is what it is. That leads to 285 pounds. And yes, there's one more thing here. This is the match to watch between Anthony Cassioppi and Greg Kerkvliet. I'm excited for this one for a few reasons. These two have wrestled multiple times in the past. Number 2, Kerkvliet, and number 3, Cassioppi. Now, Cassioppi has beaten Greg Kerkvliet every time they've wrestled except for the last time. And each of those has been a decision, except one time Cassioppi majored Kerkvliet. I think it was like 8-zip or something like that. But Cassioppi lost to Kerkvliet at the beginning of the year at the NWCA All-Star Classic. And at the Classic, that win doesn't count against Cassioppi for his record, but it is important to note here that Kerkvliet actually does have that victory over him. Cassioppi's undefeated this season. Kerkvliet has the one loss from last weekend. He lost to Mason Paris of Michigan, and if he wrestles like that again, which wasn't that great, he's going to lose against Cassioppi. And if Cassioppi continues to wrestle how he has been wrestling, which is very dominantly, getting victories done, stalling guys out of matches, clinching dual meets for Iowa when they need dual meets to be clinched, then Cassioppi's going to win. And it's really as simple as that. I mean, remember last year, Kerkvliet came in firing against Mason Paris and dominated him in the dual meet. Didn't happen this year. And I think because of that, you're going to see the Iowa Hawkeyes end up on a positive note and end up getting a 3-point, they're going to get the decision here, making 6, 9, 12, 15 for the Nittany Lions, 7, 10, 16, 22, 25. 25-15, the Nittany Lions are going to win this dual meet. If you're interested in finding out the top Penn State wrestlers of all time, you can check out this top video here, or if you want to find out who the top Iowa wrestlers are, you can watch this list down below.